Hello and welcome back to American Truck Simulator. I am Tom. When we left off, we were driving down through Mexico. And actually, before we set off, let's just take a look at our journey here. We are already in Mexico. We've crossed the border. We still have a long way to go. Looks like mostly down the coast. What apparently is the focus of the Reformer team is this really intricate. Look at the winding roads they've added down here. It's incredible. It's incredible. So whereas, say, ProMods has one focus, which is we've talked about this before. ProMods has the focus of quality, and other. God damn it, man. Yeah, I knew they were there. I thought they would see me. I thought they would see me coming out. Whereas something like Coast to Coast has the focus on creating as large an area as possible. ProMods has the focus of quality rather than quantity. And Reformer also aims to provide... they're aiming for a level of quality there as well. But they've also went for trying to make the roads in Mexico more difficult, more intricate than the base game. I think we can just go to the right, can't we? Yeah, totally. Slow down behind you. Fantastic. Should have checked my mirrors, but we're okay. Today, and you're not going to try to merge here, are you? Oh, good, good. For a second there, I thought we'd left behind our trailer. Today I want to talk a bit about cryptocurrency. Right, because that's going to immediately put some of you off. I've been back and forth on the idea of crypto like quite a lot, and I want to talk about some of what I know and the good, the bad. I'd also like to get your thoughts if you want to drop them, because well, there's been a big event in crypto over the past couple of days that I'm like just sort of tangentially aware of. Oh, yeah, we made it through that. That's fine. I would like to get into this lane. Here we go. Okay. I don't want to go that way. Yeah. So there are the two largest blockchains. You'll have heard of one, certainly, Bitcoin. The second you may not have heard of. Ethereum. And it's that one, it's Ethereum that's had a major event happen recently where they've just completed a merge that transitions their blockchain from a proof of work chain to a proof of stake one. Now that may be nonsense to many of you, but it's a positive move for their blockchain and for blockchain technologies in general. And I've been fascinated by blockchain for a minute. Like, I am a software developer, so I develop software, I write code, and something that's really interesting to me is decentralization. There are a lot of what I call DApps, D-apps, decentralized apps, that have been cropping up in the sort of advent of blockchain technologies. Most of these dApps use the existing chains, like most of them are on Ethereum. So you have a bunch of dApps on Ethereum. A bunch of them actually use another chain called Solana, and Solana is a proof of stake chain and has been for a long time. But it's actually more centralized, and there's a big debate about that in the community. I think in general people, like your end users, don't care too much about. That's beautiful. Look at that, man. This is gorgeous. Okay, ignore the terrain that hasn't loaded over in that direction. I think it has now. But look at that. It's all really just really flat desert, but they've got that rock there as well, and I like that, man. I like American Truck Simulator. This is the mod area, isn't it? This is Mexico, added by the Reformer mod. Well, that's why I wouldn't add anything like Coast to Coast, which doesn't have this. Even though this is a pretty flat landscape, they have nothing to really break up the flatness and the emptiness of a lot of their landscapes in Coast to Coast. Again, there's some failed to load region of that mountain over there. And you can see it popping in ahead. Oh god, look at that. It's awkward. I think American Truck Simulator, the reason they don't do broad, flat landscapes like this particularly frequently is because of that loading in the distance. We could maybe bump up the render distance. I don't know. Anyway, so you've got Bitcoin, which came along first, and Bitcoin is what's known as a proof of work chain. And then you've got Ethereum, which was also proof of work and is now proof of stake. And that's what I want to talk about quite a bit, right? So when Bitcoin first emerged, I was only vaguely aware of it, and I never got into it early or anything like that. So I haven't become like a Bitcoin billionaire or whatever, or, you know. It always looked to me like a weird kind of novelty, right? Or I don't know. Yeah. So there was the big mining boom, wasn't there? People flocked to start mining Bitcoin. I never had the resources to do that, so never did. Excuse me. But that's how a lot of the early Bitcoin people made their Bitcoin. And we should talk about how the value of Bitcoin, or how I understand it, gets decided. Because Bitcoin and Ethereum, I believe they're deterministic. The size of blocks and the sort of value of blocks is deterministic. So all value related to actual real-world currency is purely based on speculation. Have I got headlights on? I did. Do I need them on? What time is it? 5:07 p.m. Okay, don't need them on yet. Are people pulling over? Should I be pulling over? Quite possibly. I don't know if they ahead of me were pulling over to let the vehicle pass, because the AI, the emergency vehicle AI, isn't usually that good. It hasn't been, so far as we've been aware. I'm surprised they did that ahead of me. I think more likely is that they just weren't fully aware of where the road actually was painted, you know? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Braking as hard as I can. Ooh, do I need to go that way? Surely not. What is that way? Buses... Oh, no, I should have gone that way. I think it's just a way station, though, and I haven't been told I need to pull over at the way station. Oh, it looks like now I do in fact need to go this way though, so Nobody's using these ones. Oh, this is another one of these where I don't get the confirmation. I've just presented my documents. I can continue. Okay, I see the issue now, yeah. I see why this is for regular vehicles rather than trucks. It's a bit tight getting around there. Okay, so the way Bitcoin works is you've got people mining blocks, and these are just, these are just computations trying to essentially solve, essentially computers trying to solve puzzles to mine the next block, and as a reward for mining the block, if they're successful, they get some amount of Bitcoin. I do need to adjust my, there we go. And then that has no intrinsic value, except that it's, it's another name for proof of work. Sometimes people call it proof of waste, because it is just, creating a lot of computational work to, attach a perceived value to. But the value doesn't come from there, obviously. The value comes later from speculation, like, okay, this can be used. We can use this for trade. We can use this for commerce. And then from there, the value against, the dollar and et cetera, just inflates as more and more interest develops. Probably doing a really lousy job of explaining this. Like, I'm trying to do both the technical side of things and the and where the value comes from, right? But proof of work, essentially, is you'll get a bunch of transactions come through, like, say, person A sends point something Bitcoin to person B, and you'll have that happening 1,000 times over, and it's all decentralized, so it's all being sent around various nodes on the Bitcoin network, and then there'll be a mining node that's trying to, oh god, yeah, I'll reverse so you can, and there was one behind me as well, yeah. I'm spending so much money doing this. You're going right. Can I stay in this lane as well? Yeah. Yeah, go for it, go for it, go for it. You were aware of me, right? So that's fine. Yeah, all of the network is aware of these transactions going on because it's decentralized, but you've got mining nodes in particular that need to be made aware of all of these transactions. And then they'll try to mine a block, and I'm mainly explaining what I know about Ethereum now. They'll try to mine a block, which will be, solving a puzzle. And once that block is successfully mined, it'll all get, all of the transactions will get bundled into that block, and then it'll be verified by other nodes, and they'll all say, okay, that's good, we're done, that's those transactions all on the chain in this block, hence the name blockchain. I don't know if Bitcoin works a little bit differently to that, but that's essentially how Ethereum works, or worked, because that's the proof of work strategy. Now, one way in which proof of work is theoretically better than, say, proof of stake is that, well, you don't need to have a certain amount of Ethereum to do it, or a certain amount of Bitcoin to do it. You can just, set up a graphics card and start proving work for the blockchain, right? You can start mining blocks using, a powerful enough graphics card. Proof of stake, by contrast, requires a stake of Ethereum, or if it's a different blockchain, then not Ethereum, but whatever the currency of that blockchain is. They stake a certain amount. So you've got big stakers, and they're all in sort of a bidding pool to verify the transactions as they come in. So rather than proving it with the work of graphics cards and server farms, they are saying, okay, you can trust me to verify these. I'm going to verify these, and this is my stake to do so. And because they're competing with other stakeholders, there's an implicit trust there. But not everybody can do it, because you need to have a certain amount of Ethereum to begin with, a certain quite large amount of Ethereum. Hence, that's one of the criticisms of proof of stake, is that, well, now it's sort of creating central authorities who already have the Ethereum to stake. And I'll get onto why that's not actually a problem in a second. I'm noticing the... for God's sake. There we go. I need to be under 50. The reason that's not technically a problem is because even though theoretically proof of work could be done by anybody with a graphics card, a powerful enough, machine, you've got central institutions, central companies creating massive server farms to do it, and thus ensuring that they are the ones who verify the block. And in doing so, yeah, okay, I've got the police right behind me, don't I? It's okay, we've got $100,000. I just don't know if we're making a profit on this job anymore. We probably are. I need to be so much slower. Oh my god. Yeah, so proof of that's how proof of work works. Were we talking about proof of work? No, yeah, we were talking about proof of stake. It works by staking, right? Proof of work, meanwhile, works, through computations, mass computations, and then you've got large companies purchasing lots and lots of graphics cards or server machines or whatever, and creating huge server farms to do the work and to increase the chances of them being the ones to verify the block and ultimately get the reward for doing so. This creates an enormous amount of work. And here's the thing, here's what I think is a misconception about all blockchains, really, and about, in particular, proof of work blockchains. I think people think that because blockchains inherently use a lot of energy, any additional person saying, okay, I'm going to get into Bitcoin and I'm going to start using Bitcoin, is going to create yet more energy usage. And that is not necessarily the case. Actually, transactions that you partake in don't use very much energy at all. It's the proving them in the block that takes up a lot of energy, and you've got a lot of people competing to be the ones to prove it. So that's where all the energy usage comes from. One person saying, I'm going to make a transaction, doesn't actually affect things that much. Because their transaction just gets rolled up with everybody else's in the block that gets proved with the proof of work strategy. However, because proof of stake doesn't require that work to be done, it's proven by, stakeholders saying, hey, you can trust me because I'm staking this much. It requires much less work. So Ethereum, now having merged and moved to a proof of stake model, have significantly cut, they've cut by 99 point something% their energy usage, because they're no longer using proof of work. So all these server farms that were doing a bunch of proof of work calculations can now, they're now no longer necessary, because instead you've just got a pool of stakeholders doing the proving instead, and there's no complicated work that needs to be done anymore. Okay? Okay, so significantly reduced power usage, and that is a very, very good thing. Because even though any one individual using a blockchain isn't going to be using much power, because they all get pulled together. Essentially what I was trying to say is that, you know, for every 100 users that start using it, there's not that much new energy being used. It's a matter of whether or not people are creating new server farms or not. There's still the same amount of work being done, provided there are still the same amount of server farms doing it, right? But proof of work is famously terrible for the amount of power consumption and, you know, waste energy involved. So yeah, I don't know about what your thoughts on that are. You, the random viewer whom I'm addressing. But I think this move to proof of stake for Ethereum is a very, very good thing. And it makes me interested in blockchain as a technology, because we haven't really talked about the... Ooh, hello, that was a weird... What was that back there? There was just an icon back there for... Oh. Yeah, I'm turning right, okay. I think I need to stick in this right-hand lane as well. Because I, as a software developer, have been interested in decentralized applications, at the least. I wasn't looking at anything blockchain, but I was working with a sort of database engine called Gun that is a browser-based decentralized graph database. And to be sure, it does actually it requires a central server. Theoretically it doesn't, but at the moment with browser technology in the state that it is, it did require that. But eventually it shouldn't need that, because it should be able to connect one peer to another peer, and they can share the database, you know, from machine to machine without requiring an intermediary server. And that's sort of what decentralization is all about, is about getting to that state where we don't need a central store. Like, you don't need Amazon to hold onto your data. You can just have you, the one user, and your peer, your, say, colleague, if it's a work application. Your machine and their machine can just synchronize with one another over this decentralized network using this decentralized tool, right? Okay. And that's what blockchain is for, well, for a lot of things. For currency in particular, with cryptocurrencies, you know? The issue with something like Gun, the database there, is that because it is decentralized, it's very difficult to administrate, and it's also very difficult to, like, if you wanted to provide it as like a software as a service, paid for model, you've got no way to link it to like a payment gateway. Well, I mean, there are ways to link it to a payment gateway, but it would be easier to link it to another decentralized solution, like, say, Ethereum. And like, I'm not really talking about that. I'm not really thinking about doing that, but being able to facilitate payments over such a network, decentralized. Can I? Oop, already got them on. Okay. Excuse me if I'm like sniffling a bit as well, by the way. I have a little bit of a cold at the moment. We should think about wrapping up soon as well, and we've got 791 miles left. I think we've covered about 200 this episode. But yeah, now that it's proof of stake, Ethereum has become interesting. Because I think, in general, your average end users of web technologies, they never cared about decentralization. And this is why the idea of there being stakeholders who have this obscene interest doesn't really matter to most people. But as well, we've talked about how it doesn't really make a difference since proof of work required a lot of money anyway if you wanted to run your own server farm. And so it all sort of works its way into central hands. It's whoever's got the money at the end of the day who's making the end verifications. But yeah, so people in general, I don't think, care about that sort of thing. They care about, well, first of all, is this useful to me? And there's still, I think, the applications of blockchain technologies and decentralized technologies, I think they're there and they're evolving all the time. And I think there could be a lot of really good stuff that could be done with them. And then people also care about, well, is this, using a lot of waste energy, is this killing the planet? And the answer now is no, in fact. No. Ethereum, switching to proof of stake, uses like so much less energy. You now use far less energy per Ethereum transaction than you would for general online banking, online finances, and that sort of thing. Oh, shit. I know, that was a really dangerous maneuver there. I think we got away with it. I think we were safe. I did check my mirrors. I did do that. Yeah, I know. That was terrible. So I don't know. Yeah, if you've got any thoughts on that, let me know what you think. The whole cryptocurrencies thing, whether they are a useful technology, whether proof of stake is good, or whether crypto just needs to die as a concept. The thing is, it's not going to. Like, unless it was somehow legislated away, but like, it's really difficult to legislate it away because it is decentralized. You're still going to have people using it. You could, of course, legislate away its usefulness, make it so that in your country, like, you couldn't trade it against actual currency, so it would lose its value. But broadly, it could and would still find use for people who care about their data being decentralized and not falling into central hands like Amazon or Apple or anyone who could monitor their data. I don't know. We'll probably talk about, because I'm gonna amp up my own personal software development projects. I'm talking about this in the Discord at the moment. How I'm starting up some projects, and well, we're not talking about that, but I am thinking about having different adapters for each app that I do. So we'd have a central adapter that connects you to a like a central database that's managed by people, and that's really good for end users because you can actually have administrators and people who technically know what they're doing to correct flaws in the data and help you with things. But I'm also thinking of having a decentralized adapter, so anyone who wanted to use the app but didn't want their data being held in a central database could use it decentralized as well. And you'd be able to review the code, so you'd know we're not sending your data to a central database unless you wanted to use that particular feature. It's all going to be open source. So that's sort of what I'm thinking about at the moment. So as I say, we'll talk about this more in the future, I think. Not necessarily cryptocurrencies. Oh my god. Not necessarily cryptocurrencies, but certainly decentralized apps, because I think they have a lot of utility, particularly if the data that you're handling is private and confidential. In fact, it would be good to not need to network it at all with a broad network, but it would be good to be able to have, like, well, let's call it a subcluster, right? Ooh, am I running out of fuel? Really? Okay, that's bad. I've just passed a bunch of gas stations. Okay, next gas station we pull over, we stop. We probably have a rest as well, assuming I even make it to one. Yeah. What was I saying before we got that notification? I can't remember. I know we were talking about decentralization, yeah. So if like the data were private and confidential, say it was like healthcare data, it would be good not to require that it go via any internet connection. Like if you can connect... Oh, but then why not just... Yeah, like, why not just use Bluetooth, right? To connect one phone to another phone and have them share data via a shared database via Bluetooth. But you'd still need the decentralized technology, this, well, the database that I was mentioning before, Gun, with its really nifty approach to handling decentralized data storage. How it verifies and how it negates data is really important. Because when you delete something from a decentralized database, like, you need everyone else to know that you've deleted it. So you can't remove it entirely. Because then it would just look like it's missing from yours and get reinserted by someone else's. What you have to do is, I think the way that Gun does it is it does something called tombstoning. So it will, instead of deleting the record, it will nullify the record. It will add a null value in place of the old data, and then because the other servers know, or the other clients know that that change came later, that nullification, they know to null it as well, and that's how they catch up to that state. But there's a lot of and I don't want to get into the legality of it all too much, but there are some difficult legal problems with that. In particular, like when it comes to personal data. Like in Europe, there are certain requirements for how to handle the storage and deletion of personal data after, say, a certain amount of time, and you can't guarantee that with decentralized databases, can you? Because you can certainly say, okay, this is going to be deleted from my system, but then if someone hasn't reconnected their node to the network in a while. This doesn't look like a gas station, does it? Hang on. I know I wouldn't usually pause like this. Oh no, there is a gas station here. Okay, good. Good. We just need to, yeah. We need this. Because if someone didn't reconnect to the network, then they wouldn't know that it's been deleted, and they would still have a store of it, which would be technically illegal. So lots and lots of problematic legal business there. It's a case really of I don't know, that law exists to handle one specific scenario, and this new scenario where a decentralized approach will be technically safer and better for people, but you can't have those same guarantees. Do we have to why is it all the way over there? Can I not get into that? Surely I can. Can I leave here? Let me just stop for a second. Check the map. I think there's another one. There is another one there, but again, that's on the other side of the road as well. I think we do need to go here. We might also have missed the only rest stop available to us. Oh, there's another one there. Yeah, okay, so we may not get a rest this time here. We do just want to get in here, though, and there we go. It is a case of the law existing to serve systems as they currently exist, and not being able to predict how things would change in the future. Sort of like how yeah, okay, so I skateboard a lot. And skateboarding is technically illegal everywhere in the UK. Not everywhere. Like, obviously you can skateboard in a skate park and you skateboard in a park, but it's technically illegal as a vehicle for commuting on. You can't use it on the road, and you can't use it on the pavement either. I might be thinking of something else. It might be more like electric bikes, right? Well, it's technically if it's got a motor, right? So electric skateboards are illegal everywhere because you can't use them on the sidewalk, the pavement, and you can't use them on the roads. Technically, even though I use my skateboard on the road a lot, it's not a motorized one. Even though I do use it on the road a lot, it is technically illegal to do so. I think it would be fine on the pavement because it doesn't have a motor, though. I was once skateboarding downhill, and the opposite direction was a police car heading up the road, and I was like, oh god, I literally know that what I'm doing right now is illegal. They don't care, though, right? Because unless they're in a foul mood, maybe, and they know specifically, they probably don't know that law. They probably think, that's fine, probably. He should be wearing a helmet, but this is fine. Okay, so yeah, there's another gas station here. And in that case, it's a case of, like, the law got created a while ago to essentially there's a specific exception in the law for bicycles, but it didn't. What am I even trying to say? I don't know. It's difficult, but because like things like electric skateboards and electric scooters have only come into existence recently, they are not covered by the exception. Like, even though they could technically be a safer form of transport for people, they just the traffic laws are so muddled that they don't technically allow for them. Because the law was created so long ago without being able to predict the future. The exceptions that it made for electric bicycles back in, I don't know, the 70s or 80s or whatever, never predicted the existence of things like electric scooters, electric skateboards. And so even though they are generally available and you can purchase them, they are technically illegal everywhere. And the way that people use them is illegal. But this, in general, unless you're being really, really dangerous, won't get enforced. And that's what I was trying to get at with the idea of the law regarding personal data. It could never have predicted something like decentralization coming along and being, I think, probably in many ways technically better for people, but having no real way to ensure that you can meet the standards of that law. From my perspective as a developer, I would simply have to say, look, once you start using this technology, it's in your hands. Like, I am not a host. I am not providing this as a service. This is provided as a tool, and your use of it is, you know, have to make sure that the conditions are clear on that. But I would never, like, use it for like a healthcare company at the moment because of the really, really difficult laws around that. Oh, I just want to find a rest stop now, pull over, and we can end the episode. I know we've got one coming up down the road. The flickering we saw a little while back, you probably noticed that too? That wasn't just me, I wouldn't think. I have no idea why. I wonder if it's... Well, no, it can't be, because we've gone even further now. I was going to say, I wonder if it's because we're technically really far south of the usually playable area. But I think it can't be that. It's got to be more about how the mod specifically works, I would think. Good, good. Not speeding, not speeding. This is not a rest stop. Looks like the road is going to split up ahead, though. Oh, here we are. Here's the rest stop. Yeah, we'll pull into this town. Was that a yawn I just heard as well, by the way? I don't know. I was going to say, do we not have a rest stop? We can't use that one because it's a garage. It doesn't look like there's one there, but there's one here at the mechanics at the other end, so that's where we... That's kind of where we need to go, is there. We'll do that.
Drive safe. Keep right, and then continue straight on.
Yep, that is the plan. I think we're stuck in lights, aren't we? Yeah. So we're wrapping up here. I think I covered everything I wanted to in terms of like, for the time being anyway, in terms of like cryptocurrency and decentralization. Because I'm still really back and forth on the whole cryptocurrency thing. I don't know if it's necessary, and I don't know if it's helpful, and I really don't think people want it. Like, you've got like crypto diehards who are so sure that it's the future. But in general, I don't think people are going to go for it. But I think it might have a lot of other applications outside of that people will take an interest in eventually. Not NFTs. We didn't even talk about NFTs. NFTs are kind of... well, they're fascinating. Maybe we will take an episode to talk about them. I'm not interested in them personally, but I think we can just turn right here. Like, without... Yeah, those American traffic laws. I don't know if that's illegal in Mexico, but we are playing American Truck Simulator, where it is fine. So it's in here, isn't it? Yeah. And apparently, we found a Peterbilt truck dealer. Where's this rest area? It's going to be kind of difficult to get. It's got to be all the way over here, doesn't it? Parking and services over here. You're parked there, annoyingly. Can I... Oh, I can park up here in front of the building. Okay, that's fine. We should check to see if we've any need of services. We probably do, actually. We have had a few crashes. Just repair, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, maybe next episode we'll talk a little bit about NFTs or non-fungible tokens and what they are, what applications they might have, and why the ones they used for at the moment are kind of silly. But in the meantime, thank you so much for joining me for this. I have been Tom. This has been American Truck Simulator. And ta-ra!